Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. Well, we continue our conversation this morning dealing with domestic abuse. Recently, we would have had a media release being issued by President of the International Women's Resource Network, Adriana Sandrine Isaac Ratton, and she's joining us by phone this morning. And just to give you some information, that release was titled "Women Reconnecting with Ex-Lovers is a Risk." Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning and morning to our viewers. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for taking our call this morning. What was this press release all about exactly?
Well, Verna, that is coming off of the heels of the incident that happened on Monday, where the lady was almost murdered, I would say, by her ex-lover. It is reported that they broke up a relationship 2 weeks ago, but she agreed to meet with him upon his request. And this release is not new. We have been issuing this call to women for years, indicating that when you have ended a relationship, rekindling and reconnecting in a normal sense is risky. Because remember, particularly when the relationship has ended bitterly, remember, when two persons have ended a relationship and then they see each other during the end of the relationship, at the end of the relationship, that bitterness, that pain is still lurking in the eyes of each other. So what we have said in that release, which we have said before, is that if you have agreed to reconnect, because it's a human thing to reconnect, we understand the emotional attachment and so that existed. But if you agree to reconnect, we recommend that a mediator gets involved first, even if that mediator has to be a police officer before reconnecting. Because remember, perpetrators appear normal. They appear normal, but at the end of the day, there is a lot of rejection that took place that caused the relationship to go apart. So that is really where that release came from.
Now, you said reconnecting. The actual release says women reconnecting with ex-lovers is a risk. When you say reconnecting, you mean that they are trying to mend things, or they are just meeting to have a discussion about perhaps the children, which is absolutely normal?
No, you see, reconnecting, when we say reconnecting, we mean reconnecting at all levels, even if children are involved. Even if children are involved, we recommend strongly that there is mediation, even if it means police involvement, because as I said, especially in circumstances where the relationship ended on a bitter note. We have had, for the past 2 years, more than 25 women in doing our research, 25 to 30 women who were killed as a result of trying to, agreeing to meet with their estranged lovers, their estranged partners. It is a risk at all levels.
Now, what about in the event that the parties would like to meet to probably have a conversation? Not necessarily to mend things, but one is saying, please just hear me out.
Verna, because of our experience and our daily work and the things that come to us, we still recommend mediation. The thing about it is that emotional attachment, we understand the emotional attachment, we understand it is real, we understand how painful it is to end, but at the end of the day, your life is at risk. It is a risk. We have had too many women getting killed because they think that it is okay to meet. It is so, I can't say some of the things that come to us, but what I can say though, relationships create a strong emotional bond, which is difficult to break. And our counselors, both locally and we have our local counselor here in Trinidad and Tobago, her name is Sandra Applewhite Hernandez. We also have our international counselors in the United States and Canada who introduces a particular treatment to deal with that, to deal with breaking that emotional attachment. We understand. We have women. We have had instances up to as recent as yesterday, where someone in the central area called crying because she's in a domestic violence situation. But she said she loves him so much. She said, I love this man so much, I can't leave him. And that is what we have to. That is the reality. So it is just, but when the relationship has ended, what we have also found is a lot of women still do the part-time loving, the on and off loving, even though the relationship has ended, and that you see the part-time arrangement usually ends fatal. That is the reality. And I'm talking about what we meet every day, not only in our local jurisdiction here, but also in our international communities. The emotional attachment is the key, is what causes what happens to happen, because even though you are being traumatized and you're being inflicted with hurt and pain by this person, you love him. And he loves you, but there is a place that this violence is coming from, and what we tell both parties, or tell them individually, once we can identify the trigger, or the place where the violence is coming from, I think that is the place that we need to start in terms of healing and salvaging the relationship. If it is the both of you want to salvage the relationship, if it is you all want to go separate ways, well then that's a different kind of issue we usually treat with. But that is the reality.
Now, sometimes it might be a little bit more complicated like that, perhaps. For instance, the man is obviously, well, the sole breadwinner. Perhaps the woman is perhaps dependent on him to some extent, especially when there are children involved, and she's afraid of cutting ties because of that. What are your thoughts on a situation that may be a little bit more complicated than simply loving somebody?
Well, we have the family court that usually intervenes in those kinds of situations where there is, where there are children involved, where we have financial commitments and so involved in relationship. We have the family court that provides the kind of support and interventions in that regard.
Right. So you're emphasizing mediation. Can you describe the ideal mediation setting? Are there various types? What are some of the alternatives or mediation settings that we can perhaps try to recommend here?
Well, in terms of mediation, first we would talk to both partners separately. Then we would talk to them together to get a sense as to where the violence is coming from. And as I said before, Verna, we ask you simply, do you want your man? Do you want your woman, as the case may be? If the answer, we're very frank, we don't butter up our mediation and so. And if the answer is yes, there are some things that we need to do. If the answer is no, we also need to do some things. And that, again, Verna, is coming back to our ratio theory, our ratio conference, which was held on the 25th of May, which we're going to repeat again in South. To deal that ratio, the rejection, the anger, the sex, the infidelity and insecurity and obsession, equal abuse and that ratio element, that ratio theory, that is those are the main triggers of violence, and that is where we would use the ratio theory just in terms of our mediation based on where the violence is coming from. So there are different interventions, there are different approaches depending on what is triggering the violence, because it comes from some place, but we can't deal with it unless we identify the source of it. The source is important. And once the parties agree that that is the source, it makes it easy in terms of the healing and the salvaging and so on.
So you've witnessed lives transformed from mediation interventions, correct?
Pardon, if you can repeat, Berna, sorry.
Would you say that these measures have been quite effective so far?
They have been. As I said, each case is unique. We deal with situations on a case-by-case basis. So depending on the circumstances, mediation measures would be a little bit more than others, and the approaches, as I said, would be different. And it would, but we also have a monitoring mechanism where our counselors will keep in touch with the parties to ensure that what they were told to do, they do.
Right. Now you mentioned,
and of course, they will reach back out to us depending on if things are not working and they need more interventions or they need additional support. We would be there to lend that olive branch. Right.
So you mentioned you spoke about part-time loving. That's the term that you used. Part-time loving as it pertains to our emotions, the emotional roller coaster, as it were. Today, a particular couple may be desirous of mending things. On different occasions, they may just hate each other. How do you deal with those inconsistencies?
Again, Verna, that is the emotional attachment that still remains. The emotional attachment tells you that even though I'm separated from my partner, I am still committed to him or to her to provide that kind of emotional support that they would require on an on and off basis. We have had instances, we have had 2 instances in the central area where they are separated, but they have this kind of inconsistent arrangement, which is working fine, eh? But mind you, they have their separate lives going on, but they call themselves friends, and I say friends in inverted commas, but it works well for both parties because those 2 situations, there are children involved. So they have agreed, there is a legal component in terms of how to treat with the children and so, but they are still friends. I mean, that has to be measured in terms of how far they go, but they are friends. So there are some instances where people separate emotionally, again in inverted commas, but they prefer to be apart. Sometimes they live in separate rooms, but there is still that kind of attachment for different reasons.
And Ms. Ratton, how can you be reached? How can people contact you for further information on these types of issues?
Our hotline 268-6078. We also have our partner organization, Men Against Violence Against Women, where you can reach Mr. Donald Berman. He has been very supportive of us since the last conference. 383-6124. That's their hotline. And we have a very engaging and active Facebook page, International Women's Resource Network. Once you connect with us there, you're sure to connect with one of our international counselors or local counsel, or any one of our volunteers or officers to provide any kind of intervention or support that you require.
And can you also just remind us about that conference?
Well, the conference was held on 25th of May. We are planning to have one in South, but this may be for youth. This one may be for youth because there is a cry from the youth population that, for that kind of sensitization and support. So that is something that we're working towards in September. Once we finalize, when I would call you all and come and talk more about it.
So youth and relationships, that's what we're looking at.
Relationships and social media and various kinds of distractions that it wouldn't be complete ratio, but sort of leading off from ratio.
Okay. And what are your closing comments and advice to those looking on?
I would like to tell couples to understand who you are, understand what you want from each other, respect each other. We are not here, we are not saying that we can provide all the answers, but what we can say is that if it is you really want to spend your life with each other, you want to spend quality time with each other, and there is some kind of turbulence in the relationship, don't dismiss it, reach out for help. And we would be sure to provide any kind of support, have any kind of conversation that would lead to remedial action.
Thank you so much for taking our call this morning. Always a pleasure chatting with you.
Same. Thank you and have a good day.
You're most welcome. We've been chatting with Adriana Sandrine Isaac Ratton, President of the International Women's Resource Network. That hotline to call 268-6078. We take a short break. A lot more when we return. Stay tuned.